family to me. Not only the fans, but the players, the staff. Everything about this place is my home.
Hello and welcome to the club. I'm your host Mars, and this is the Upper 90 Club, a roundtable podcast where five friends continue to discuss the U.S. men's national team. Like we did after the Wales game, this is our special live post-game reaction to the 0-0 draw between USA and England that just wrapped up in Group B of the World Cup final tournament in Qatar. With me in the club, I have Ben, Mort, Trey, and Haas. Say hi, guys.
Hello.
Hey, Mark.
I thought you guys were going to say hi. And then I was going to say, that sounds like my reaction after every Weston McKennie shot today.
Burn.
She left me hanging.
Hi.
So you guys watched the game at Ben's. Any chance you recorded any mid-game reactions?
Nope, didn't even attempt it this time. I'm smarter.
All right.
Yeah.
So what do you want to talk about? Like wings? You want to talk about wings? How'd that go?
Yeah, I thought our wings were delicious.
Fantastic.
They were tasty. What is it? Donkey barbecue, donkey garlic,
Regular
and
barbecue.
Regular barbecue.
regular old barbecue.
Popular.
Yeah.
Chips.
Is there a provider that you want to plug so maybe we could get a sponsor? Or
Yeah, if Jonathan Roosters is out there, the owner of Roosters Bar and
Mr.
Grill.
Roosters, to you.
Hey, John, it's Ben. Your wings are delicious.
who had the most?
Can I have
Who had the most?
more?
Hey, Trey had a few.
Was it a
but
competition?
I had the most at the party. Mort took the extra ones home.
yeah,
So
Stacy came from the hospital. She was doing some damage on him. I think Elon and Finn was doing pretty good on him too. So very popular.
Yeah, Elin was like destroying them. I was like, you ate a lot of them. She's like, can I take them home? I'm like, yeah. She weighs like 20 pounds soaking wet, and she's just like destroying the wings.
So it wasn't 0 to 0 to 0 to 0 to 0 to 0.
No.
Good. All right. Well, I think we're trying to get this out quick, like the last one. So let's talk about the game. First, the lineup. Big change was right up top, but anything else to talk about?
I didn't see this coming at all. I thought for sure the MMA in midfield was going to be switched. I thought we'd have Aronson or somebody, and the only switch was
Reina?
Haji.
Does he play for
Like-
the U.S. men's national team? I'm not sure anymore.
No,
Yeah, we kind of thought
no, he's going
there's
to
a
go.
lot of chatter that he was going to start, right, for this game. That's what I saw.
Yeah. But I think Tracy was talking about it earlier where he's like, yeah, because of the result earlier on, maybe that affected the lineup today because it wasn't, we didn't have to necessarily get a result. But
Yeah.
he's referencing the Iran-Qatar or Iran-Wales game.
Yeah, and let's circle back to the situation like a little later because there's kind of intriguing what's going to happen based on the result we just had. But for this lineup, yes, we thought we would see some changes. McKennie, maybe we were thinking he had a little bit of injuries. We were expecting to see Reina, maybe Aronson, maybe flipping the minutes between McKennie and Reina. And we didn't see that. And just like we said, what was going on with Reina, they were saying the same thing. We were expecting to maybe see Foden or somebody for England. And he wasn't in there either. So,
yeah,
With the starting lineup, I mean, I can't say I'm too upset that he didn't screw around with a bunch of stuff. Because, I mean, how many times have we ripped him for tinkering with things?
Right.
When we're like, just play it. Just play the MMA. Just play Pulisic. Just play way out. He did that. And honestly, we'll talk about it with the first half, but after we got over the shock of not seeing a couple of different changes, thought it ended up pretty good.
I mean, while the lineup changed slightly, it was not a 4-3-3. They were playing
is
a
correct. That's what I was
4-4-2
gonna say.
the whole game. Haji Wright and Weah up front.
Yeah, which means the 4-4-2, was it the 4-4-2 diamond? Because I didn't think they looked like they were flat in the middle. So it was like a straight flat. I wouldn't even say we were at a low block. It was so weird. To me, this whole thing, I'm still trying to digest it. Both the wings and the actual.
I'd have to go back and watch it again, but from first watch, what I think I was seeing was whichever side England was attacking on, you had that outside mid or outside forward, whatever you want to designate, whether it was Weah or Pulisic, pulling back into the channel and picking up the pressure coming through that side, and then the other side would move up, and they would kind of shift. That person would be the number 2 up top with Haji. But that's just on first memory.
And on the left side was interesting. I think actually Musa was playing wider than Pulisic for the most part in this game too. So it was a funny formation, and I think we're going to come to that, like you said, discussing how we played in the first half.
Let's do it. So so how'd the first half go at the beginning? I know I just started eating also out of stress. What'd you guys think?
Yeah, we were all like 15 feet away from the TV just pacing. My wife was like, "You guys can sit down." We were like,
Nope.
No sitting. She's like, "You guys are really nervous."
Yes.
There's like food, and we're like, "We can't even eat." Half of us were crying. It was just...
There's a lot of nervous energy going on in there, I tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, the first 10 or 15 minutes, they had some chances. They came down. They were like combining. They looked... I was like, okay, this is going to be a long game. And then we settled. And the thing is, like, we settled, and I don't think Greg said anything or did anything different, because I think right off the jump we were at a 4-4-2. Because I think like 5 minutes in, even the commentator was like, "Oh, you can hear Gareth Southgate screaming 4-4-2," and it's like, okay, we immediately came out in a 4-4-2. I mean, they weren't pressing high, which I thought was. I mean, I guess England doesn't really do that, right? I mean, that's the beauty of us playing England with the guys we have on the field, is that, they don't high press. They don't try to do anything crazy. They just try to play, England's slow build-up game. And we were able to once we got it figured out, 10, 15 minutes in, they were almost a non-factor like the rest of the game.
Yeah, and it was interesting. They play a very typical English game, but what we did was we really closed off. We dropped off and man-marked pretty much Rice and Bellingham. Those two, they were looking for them all the time from the D, coming out of the D, and we blocked off those two guys. They couldn't go through Bellingham and Rice the way they wanted to, and then, push the ball forward through them. They were absolutely non-factors in pretty much the entire games, and especially Bellingham was one of the lowest-rated players on the pitch.
I mean, yeah, we were...
Which is crazy, because I rate him as probably the best player on the pitch.
Yep.
We were trying to take away the center of the field from him. Like, you could tell that was a concentrated effort to push him out to the wings.
So...
Yeah, but the weird thing was, I think the people that did that were the two up front, like Weah and Wright, would sit, like we didn't chase the keeper or whatever. We just kind of sat one or both of them back, and they just kind of hung out in the middle. So it was like, the two up top, and then maybe, did you see McKennie or Musa really push up onto Bellingham and Rice? Or I remember more seeing Weah and Haji Wright kind of like getting right there on them. But I can't remember off the top of my head. But I don't remember it being like our MMA midfield harassing their people, like their 2-6s that are sitting there. I think it was Haji Wright and Weah, and I think they were tasked with, hey, just sit in the middle of the field. Do not let them get the ball in the middle. Like, let them. Luke Shaw and Trippier, I think, had the most touches on England, at least in the first half. So we were just pushing them wide. And like I said, after the first 10 or 15 minutes, we just kind of settled, and they had nothing.
That was my
forward.
question is, do you think that, it was clear the first 10, 15 minutes that England was making progress. Was that a factor of them coming out hot and then cooling off, or was that us making an adjustment, getting settled in, and is that what changed the tenor?
Yeah, I think moreover it was the entire game. I don't think England did many changes. I don't think they changed formation. We'll get into it in the second half. They made like for like subs. They keep saying that Gareth Southgate is kind of like the, Greg Berhalter, like they're friends or they look up to each other or whatever, any of that stuff. But it's the same basic thing where they didn't come out hot, like quote unquote hot. They weren't pressing. They weren't like coming at us. They kind of like at the very beginning were like, all right, we're going to have a bunch of the ball. We're just going to hold on to it and we'll just kind of break down the United States. But the problem is we have Tyler Adams. So anytime they try to get anywhere near the middle of the field, and I even think McKennie had a wonderful defensive game, which is crazy because he was hurt.
Yeah.
I didn't even think he should start. And he looked like absolute garbage pail kids in the second half of last game. Like he was terrible. But he came out today and played, I thought, phenomenal. And of course, Adams, man of the match, period. Like absolutely destroyed. I mean, the memes around the internet of like Adams coming home and like dropping his keys out of his pocket and then also dropping like Mason Mount and Sterling out of his pocket. Like he had everybody on lock. They did nothing. I think Mason Mount had like 27 touches or something like that. Something bonkers. I didn't even think Sterling was in the game. I thought Sterling looked a lot like Dan James' last game for Wales, where I'm like, you guys are really good, but you were a non-factor.
Yeah.
Whenever they came into our final third, it was like, man, I mean, I didn't think Robinson had that great of a game, but like he never got beat. And I thought the one I was watching that I kept calling out was Serginho Dest marking Sterling. And I think Serginho had a wonderful defensive game. Like I don't think he put too many feet wrong.
He was one of the players that were called out in English newspapers of having a great game. Was Serginho Dest. And not only what he did defensively, but also how he was on the ball and how he got forward. He got to a couple of crosses. This is where we want to see Serginho Dest. And speaking about this game before it started, we didn't think this was a Dest kind of game because we didn't expect him to be getting that far up the field. We didn't expect us to get that much play, but we got the combination play going, especially on the right side. We had a lot of good combination with McKennie, Dest, and Weah, which actually created some of these first opportunities. And I think like 17 minutes in, you've got kind of the first taste of it with Haji Wright. I think he had a header, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't anything big, but it was just kind of what we saw was coming. We had a couple of similar crosses. We had one later on also for Pulisic 2.5, but coming from very similar situation on the right side again. That's where we actually were the most dangerous. I think it's funny that Shaw got really high rating because defensively he must have struggled quite a bit. So
yeah, we were also overloading that side with Weah and Dest, and actually Haji kept peeling out toward the right.
Yeah.
But I mean, the first game and this game, Weah is just a menace. Like that guy, when he gets on the ball, is like, I still haven't seen him like torch somebody, like absolutely just run past him. But I mean, this game, and I think that's what it was around the 17th minute. It's like, oh, we countered. We didn't counter fast. We didn't get lucky. We built it well. And all of a sudden it was like, oh, England's not playing with any intensity. It didn't seem like we were playing like that high of intensity. Like I don't think either one of these halves were better than the first half of Wales. I thought Wales' first half was just like, okay, like we're going to win the World Cup. And then, the second half was just so terrible. So I'm like, and it's the same thing. If you would have said, would you take a tie against England? I'd be like, yeah, probably. And this game too, it's like a tie felt like a loss, which again is bonkers.
It didn't feel like a loss like the last one did.
No.
No,
Well,
but
we were never leading.
Yeah, it was like crew
Sure.
game.
Right. We were never leading. But this is the question I was going to ask. Ben, I've heard you say a few times that it's hard to blame the strikers because of the style of play that we have and that kind of thing. But one shot on target, what we're describing all of this positive outlook and how good the team looked. But we didn't put many on frame.
I mean, the one was off the crossbar from Pulisic, which doesn't count as on target.
and Wales, and against Wales, we had a one off the crossbar too.
Not
Yeah,
trying to
I
excuse
think-
things,
But
No, but our biggest talking point at half was we really thought Haji Wright would be coming out to put somebody else in up top. To go to the fact of, once again, we've been ineffective, in that striker position. We kept saying Reyna. I'd put Reyna in there,
Or Ferreira.
Yeah, but I mean,
Or
we
Sargent.
just wanted
Literally anybody.
That was the number one thing that we talked about was who.
Yeah.
That if he's going to make a sub, this is what it needs to be. McKinney looked good, Adams looked good, Musa looked good, Pulisic good, Weah good. The only person who it made sense to take out at the time was Haji, and
So yeah, all right.
so that led.
Yeah. So my question for you, my question for you, Trey, is like, why did he start Haji? Like, what was Greg's game plan for starting Haji over the two speedy guys?
I think I think they come to height.
yeah,
He's
I mean,
taller. You have Stones and McGuire, and you kind of hope you might get some crosses in, and you want a guy that might be able to get ahead on it, which he actually did. But that for me is the thing that I can think of.
I think the overall point that I would make though is that none of them have done it. None of them have stepped up and stepped in and scored goals. So I don't have a
You think he just threw it?
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
not that I have a problem with Haji, but you could literally say
No.
the same thing about each one of the guys, and then you're picking the man based on size. Okay, like
I don't know if that's the reason, but that could be one reason. I think he had a pretty solid game. We had one opportunity. I think it was in the second half where you're cutting in and get a shot off, and
That was good.
And to your stats lies a little bit because you had opportunities like, well, McKinney wasn't on frame, but that was a huge opportunity. It should have been on frame, right? You have Dest.
It was
You have
impressive
Dest that
how
cuts in and got McGuire like out of balance, and then McGuire actually
Yeah.
rebound and get the block in. He was about to pass that in the corner, right? And then Pulisic's header, which hits his shoulder. I mean, like all of those were like. But that's quality, right? The small little inch on those three could have been a goal or two, and or definitely should have been on target.
I'm wondering if he's looking at it as a pure chemistry and what he's seeing in training of what's working the best with Adams, with McKinney, with Pulisic, and going with it that way. Maybe he knows that he doesn't have have a Harry Kane up top. So he's looking at it going, this guy's really fitting in well. I'm going to go with him. Whether that's right or wrong, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, because I hear he's tall, he'll win, headers. I don't think that was the case because he ran a 4-4-2 when we weren't putting that many crosses in the box. I don't think he was thinking offensively when he used Haji Wright. I assumed that when I saw him, I was like, okay, cool. We know we're going to absorb pressure. We're going to want to clear it long because we don't want to play through the middle because they have Mount, Bellingham, Rice, Stones who steps high. So maybe we just clear it to him and his job is to hold it up. But that didn't really happen. And we ran a 4-4-2. So it seemed like we wanted somebody in the number 9 to play more defensive because that's what Haji was doing. And I just assumed he would use Ferreira because that's his like go-to dude. And I don't even have a problem with that because I know Ferreira is faster than, Haji Wright. I assumed that he would have that hustle guy in to like harass, Bellingham and Rice, but he didn't. The whole thing, it worked. That's the crazy thing is like, I saw what he did. I didn't quite understand it, but it absolutely worked against
And in the first half,
yeah.
I would say we had 4 big chances, and they had 1 huge chance with Harry Kane, where Zimmerman blocks it nicely.
Oh, yeah.
Was that Kane's only shot in the game?
I think so.
And the header in the second half.
Yeah.
Oh, second, yeah,
Header at the very end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. 1 goal, 2 games. We're going to need to score.
Yeah.
And my mantra is, if you do not score, you cannot win. So we're going to need to.
Yeah, I forgot that was your mantra.
Every day.
You say it.
First thing I say.
You can't stop saying it.
First thing I
Yeah.
say.
That and top banana.
Yeah, Mars,
Those are the 2 things you say.
I know where you're getting at, Mars, and it is a thing that plagues us, right? If we had Holland, if we had Kane on our team, we would have won the first game, and we probably would have won this game too, and we're sitting on top of the table. We don't even need one of them. We need like a, pretty decent level Premier League forward kind of striker in our team, and we probably will be at least having 4 points so far in this tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, or you play with a 10 or a creative center midfielder, because the MMA has no creativity. That's not its purpose. Today is a perfect example of like what MMA provides against a really strong opposition. Like, we were able to shut down some of the best players in the world. Like, we shut down Saka. We shut down Kane. It was crazy. It was really fun to watch. But in transition, the only person we really had was Pulisic. He played well.
Yes.
Pulisic played well. It just wasn't enough. Like, we didn't have somebody else. And, let's get into the second half. Because getting into the second half, I was like, cool. We played well. We came off the first half. We all were like, interesting. I think we had the better of that. And we were all like, oh, let's eat more wings and talk about it. And then we ate more wings. And I got really sick.
Yeah. So did we change anything? England change anything? I mean, what do you guys see?
Here's the beauty of England. They changed nothing. They do exactly what we do for the United States that we can't stand. It's like they came out, it's like, did they make any subs? It's like, nope. It's like, are they playing any different? It's like, nope. So that is why English fans really don't like Gareth Southgate, is that he is a lot like Berhalter, where he's like, we'll just keep kind of doing what we're doing, and then Harry Kane will like do something.
No
tight.
corrections.
Like,
not the kind of guy who
No.
would apologize for using a term like special teams, right?
I think they come up with a little more energy right off the bat for a little bit.
they high pressed. I
yeah,
take that back.
pressed.
They did high
Absolutely
press, and I would say that did cause. We were back and forth on this because we saw some highlights after the game, because we heard somebody say Zimmerman was being rocked and he wasn't very good. And Ben and I was actually watching some of the highlights of Zimmerman in second half, and he made a lot of bad passes and out of bounds passes
A
that we
ton.
weren't really aware of
Like 9.
when we were biting our nails. So a little high pressure they worked a little bit, but we got away with it. But other than that, until the very end there with the header, England didn't really create like anything. They had the one that was in the first half, I guess, when you had Mount with a shot. But I can't think of anything else that was really.
And that was a great save.
Oh, yeah.
Ultimately,
Oh
also
my God,
Turner.
that save. Turner's diving save to the right.
Took the command.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he even got cocky at the end and like came out
Yeah.
and dribbled around
Yeah.
the 85th minute. He was like way out. And one of the commentators was just like, wow, he's really feeling it. And all I heard was Tracy like back by the bathroom, like, get in the goal. He was like halfway midfield. I'm like, where is he at? He's like pumped up, like jogging back. I'm like, no, Trey's right. Get in the goal, Turner. Like, what are you doing?
And he was strong in the ball and the crosses, the corner kicks. He picked them down. He had
was
a
stronger.
distribution, like a kick that was a 70-yard kick out to our left side to really kick. Yeah, to
Pulisic,
Pulisic. That was a beauty of a
With
kick.
him on
Something
the
you see
run,
from that.
like a fast break.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was great. But other than that, in the second half, I would say that it was. US just driving and just churning opportunities and a lot of different things. Trey, you have an input on this?
Yeah, we talked about it when we were watching the game. One thing they did differently, like they came out the second half a lot like they did against Wales, where they weren't connecting the passes. It was the half second off. The passes were a foot in front. They were to the trailing foot, not the forward foot. And it was the first 10 minutes where we just kept shooting ourselves in the foot. And then we kind of knocked that rust off, and then we really got it together from there. But yeah, I mean, the other thing that we had talked about was, I'm not surprised that Greg didn't make any changes, and I honestly don't think he'll make any changes for the third game because that's just what he does. But it'll be one thing I'm just kind of wondering if he didn't make any changes sooner because he was really waiting until Southgate made changes. Kind of the chess match. I'm going to wait to see what you do until I do something.
Well, and other than not scoring, what we were doing seemed to be working.
Correct.
Every time I see the change, I mean, ever since like the Caleb Porter 20 games, last 20 games of the season, I like get nervous when the subs come in, and we've made it this far. What's you add a different ingredient and it's enough. It seemed rarely a benefit watching the crew, and I get nervous watching the subs come in for the US when we're playing these draws.
Speaking of subs coming in, I don't know how FotMob has Shaq Moore rated, or Haji Wright rated as poor as Shaq Moore, because I thought Shaq Moore was atrocious in this game when he came in.
I mean, I know we were all screaming about him.
Yeah.
I think he had some good runs there, played the ball in a couple times decently, but he also had those terrible moments as well where he just gave the ball away.
Going forward, he did nothing.
But I'm not blaming Greg on it because last game he brought in Yedlin, and Yedlin kind of had the same performance. Yeah, but Yedlin had the same performance.
I'd say worse.
Not good.
Correct.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, Shaq Moore, cool, okay. But it wasn't clean. Like, it wasn't disciplined. You can be not good and not hurtful.
The other thing was they made changes in the 68th minute, and we waited another 10 minutes to make a change. Again, we wait to almost the 70th minute to make a sub. Yeah, Mars.
Well, yeah, so I want to talk about player performance. And, with 0-0 draw, there's some highlights we can talk about, but are we good on second half? Is there anything else we want to call out before we start talking about individuals?
It's kind of been touched on a little bit. I think all of us agree on this. I think the subs needed to come earlier. I don't know why we wait till the 82nd minute to start making subs when people are gassed. That's my
Yeah, the other thing about the second half, I don't think we actually have a whole lot of, on the stat sheet, shots on goals or anything like that. We have a ton of deflections, and we had a ton of corners. Yep. We had a lot of corner kicks, and I think we won the corner kick 7-3, and it felt like we were.
We also won total shots.
Yeah. So and if it wasn't for actually McGuire, which is someone I chair usually for, and usually see fail, he was just a giant in there.
Yeah.
And if it was for him, we had one early where he kind of jumped backwards, and Zimmerman, you see him coming in, just about to just get that header in.
Redemption.
Yeah.
Well, in the corners,
and there's a couple of other there too.
And the corners were good. Pieces this game so much better than the first game.
Much better.
I don't think there was a single one that the first defender got to. So
looked like Pulisic was going to put one in there from the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good.
The last thing I want to touch on before we talk about players and player ratings and all that stuff is that we knew that tie or lose this game, it didn't matter. Like we needed a win. So if we tied, which we did, statistically, we would still have to beat
Right.
Iran. So if we tie or we lose, we beat Iran, we're in. That's just, whatever. So it's like we played a good game up until like 70 minutes, and then Grealish came on, and I'm like, cool, why not go for it? Like, why not go for that win? If we lose 1-0, who cares? We thought we were going to lose. We played a better game. It didn't matter. So, like, go for the win. And like, seeing Shaq more, I was like,
I don't even blame Shaq Moore. Like, we were still just playing and developing so slowly out of the back and kicking the ball between the two center defenders. Excuse my language. Like, it's just like, go. Like, we need to win this game. And no one is, it's not happening. Like, it's all in the back line, kicking it back and forth. Go forward, try to win the game. I don't understand why we did that.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah, there was no reason not to go for it at the end. And the other thing I wanted to touch on before, again, we move on, sorry. So at the beginning of this half, they ran at us, and Zimmerman made a bunch of bad passes. So they high pressed us. That is our main weakness. They targeted that, and that is what, Wales did it. And also Iran, that's what they do. They high press. They're like intense. So I'm like, it really worries me that it's like, all right, cool, we're going to start Zimmerman, who panics under that. And also keep in mind that Zimmerman had the most touches today, I think, in general on the field. Like, he was the one that had the most touches. So like they made sure that England did a good job of like making sure he got it, especially in the second half, and then that he was trying to distribute it.
Yeah.
And I'm just super nervous that Iran's going to be like, cool, all we got to do is run at this dude, and then he'll eventually just cough it up. It's like, all right,
not trying to be funny, but I do believe the correct pronunciation is Iran, because it is
Iraq.
Like, it is Iraq. Just, I think
Iran.
It is not Iran.
I trust my precedent.
That's why I
trust my
switched
precedent.
to Iran.
Thank you, Iran.
Yeah.
We just have to run. We have to run
say.
harder than Iran.
I done ran it.
Yeah.
All right. So
All
players.
right. Player ratings. Yeah. Let's get into it.
Ooh.
All right. Let's do top three, and I'd say, what would we say, bottom three or something like that. I think number one, I think we can all agree that Tyler Adams was an absolute
Beast.
Give him the Burger King crown.
Yep.
Player
He
of the
was
match or whatever they're giving out.
great.
Yeah, he was pumped. Like, there's no way he's at Leeds.
And he wasn't like you felt like he was running wild and just like sliding in everywhere. He was so much in control of that game to a different level. Something you see from an elite player, and that's the thing that kind of has shocked me. The way he has matured this year is fantastic.
He looked like a safety net, almost like when things were out of control. That's when he shined, right? Like when there was a gap to fill, he was there.
And now in the TV coverage and also in English, the English coverage, they also mentioned that whatever came through that area, Adams was there to clean it up.
Yep.
In that danger area. So yes,
we mentioned
totally agree.
Turner earlier.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a couple of other people that definitely have like a Turner. Yeah, but he didn't have to make that many saves.
But the ones
he was solid.
Great.
Yes. So I agree.
The Mason Mount save was awesome.
Yeah.
That was a great shot.
He was also very active in his distribution too.
Yeah, I agree.
That again,
All right.
we already mentioned
Number two is
the one
Turner.
to Pulisic down the left side, like when he was running onto it, quick play. Like
Stones had to come over and clean
we
it
don't.
up.
I don't feel like we normally do that.
And then as number three is the receiver of the pass, right? Pulisic. I thought it was great. You could go McKennie too. I can see that, but I think Pulisic was a huge factor in a lot of the things that forward.
I'm gonna disagree. I'm gonna say Robinson for my third.
Really?
Yeah. With what
dribble?
Yeah, but with what Bellingham and Saka can do.
Oh yeah, yeah. All right, cool. Same thing with Des though.
No. I think Des played well, but
better.
How?
But Saka and Bellingham are two of the most dangerous players on the planet right now, and at no point in time did I really feel that he was left on an island or completely misplayed them. And I mean, Saka is embarrassing defenders in the Premier League right now with Arsenal.
Well,
Like straight up embarrassing.
and when Robinson got too far forward, he was lightning quick to get back. So maybe I do agree with you.
Right.
He had 7
He was
recoveries.
quick
Yeah.
getting back on defense.
But I mean,
Like that's.
I
an
thought
insane
Pulisic
amount.
played well. I thought McKinney played well. I would definitely put Adams first. I mean, I always have a hard time putting.
Our back 4 with Adams ahead of it was. Awesome.
I do find it
I thought,
interesting that all the practically the top 4 performers for England were their 4 defenders.
Yeah,
That's
on the
right.
stats.
I just saw
Yeah.
that.
Which I
Yeah, they're. Oh man.
so I don't know. I thought we were a lot
Good
more
on
offensive,
Maguire.
but yeah, we gotta find somebody who scores.
Yeah.
Yeah, and turning that around to the defensive part. Sorry, Mars. I don't want to do it.
what, bottom 3?
Bottom 3 because I don't have a bottom 3. I can maybe pick 1 or 2 that could improve.
It's
but
arbitrary. The numbers are arbitrary.
Yeah, the only one that we
Yeah.
talked after was, and I only saw this after it was highlighted to me, was Zimmerman. But other than that, I can't really say
But
somebody was in the
you
bottom.
can't deny his stop either. Yeah.
Defensive.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't
Saved
want to
a
even
goal
get
for
into
sure.
the bottom 3. You know, I know if you go into the ratings, you know,
We'll skip
maybe
it.
Musa wasn't.
I was
Yeah.
going to say,
skip it.
I don't
Just
even
skip
know
it.
ratings, but
Ratings.
Musa, I didn't see him do much today. Not that he was
He
bad.
was hustling and bustling
Yeah.
a lot.
That's his game though. You know, that's he plays like between a 6 and an 8. He's not like he doesn't progress the ball. Like his whole goal is if he gets it in the midfield, he's able to beat a defender or 2 and then lay it off. Like that's kind of his thing. He's not putting in tackles like Adams. He's not arriving late into the box like McKinney. He's not a number 10. He's like this bizarre, puzzle piece in the middle that kind of does, can do many different things. From what I understand, because I actually don't watch a lot of Musa in La Liga.
Yeah.
But I guess that's kind of like, from what I understand and what I keep hearing is like, yeah, you don't hear a lot from him. It's not like he scores. He doesn't really get assists. He's not a number 6. He doesn't get stuck in like Adams, but he gets the ball in the middle and he's able to break a line just running in like 3 seconds. And that's what you want him to do is like, he's not playing crazy through balls. He's not. But that, again, that's the problem with the United States is we don't have a creative.
Which goes to what I was going to say. I don't want to be too negative on this lineup, or I should say on this performance. I would definitely put Zimmerman right, and then I'm gonna go down to one of the subs and Shaq Moore as my third.
Yeah, that's true.
Only because I felt he was such a step down from Dest today.
Dude, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But who else? Who else do you bring on?
Haji
for
didn't
Dest?
play bad. It just
Who else do you bring on for Dest? Scally? Like Dest was done.
No. I think it was I don't have a problem with the decision to bring Shaq Moore on because Yedlin was wrong. I just still like somebody. If we make it out of this group and we make it into the knockout round, somebody's going to have to play that position and come in. We got to get it figured out.
All right, so
And that's why he brought 4 right backs because he was like, we got Dest, but if he gets hurt, it could be anybody. Like, I mean, that's why he brought in Shaq Moore. And it makes perfect sense because in the first game, what does he do? We need a right back. Okay, cool. We bring in Yedlin. Everybody was on board. Everyone's like, cool. He's a, quote unquote veteran and he'll come on and play. And he did not do that great. No. And it's like, well, that didn't work out. I wouldn't want to see Scally. I really like Scally if we're pushing forward. Like he's really good on the ball. I think he's technical. I think he gets he's more of like a wing back and he wanted just another lockdown. And the only other lockdown back we had was Shaq Moore. So when he came in, I was like, okay. I mean, Trey's exactly right. Like he was like, well, what do you do? Who do you put in? It's like, well, I mean, not Yedlin, not Scally. Cause we're not going after
it's like
the game,
I can dislike the player's performance, but not hate the decision.
I'm going to say my number one issue, number one of the bottom 3 glares on the game is the glare on Ben's television.
That was bad. So
I blame the sun.
So Ben, in the middle of the game, tried to lift my son up to one of the windows to put it like a toy box or something. Yeah, he is pretty much 70 pounds to try to block the sun from hitting our faces and the screen and whatever else. But
Yeah.
and I want to say, just for the ratings too, I would say a lot of that is relative to the talent we have. If it was Holland playing a number 9 for us today, I would probably tear right apart. But my expectations are very different than that. Okay, Mars.
Yeah, so I heard us kind of branch into what the game plan should be. I wanted to just take a minute and go through the group standings. We've been talking about it, but we said we would. So England's at the top of our group with 4 points, a win and a draw. Iran is second with 3 points. We're in third with 2 points. We have to beat Iran. Wales is behind us. It's a must win. So it's not more complicated than that. We just have to beat Iran.
And it wasn't more complicated at the beginning of the game. So there's no reason.
If we had beaten England, it would have been. We would have been able to.
Yeah, that's
tie.
what I'm
Okay.
saying.
Right. And we talked about we talked. Do you want to talk more about what else we would have done during this game? I mean, we talked a little bit about going harder later or sooner or something. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, you got to put in. I mean,
sub earlier.
You got Haji Wright going 83 minutes, and he played. Yeah, sure, whatever. But I mean, you got to put on Reyna. This game screamed Reyna. He's awesome on transition. He's awesome on the ball. He literally will get the ball, turn, and take it at people. He doesn't care. He's too young to care. Like, the guy's a monster.
Brain is not fully developed.
I understand everybody's outrage. Like, what I would have at when they subbed in Grealish and Henderson at 68, at 70 minutes, I would have brought on Brendan Aronson. Actually, you know what? I probably would have brought on Reyna and Aronson and gone for the win. 20 minutes, I would have put Aronson as like the number 10. I would have taken out McKinney, and I would have put I would have taken out Haji Wright, and I would have put
Reyna
in Reyna
at half
because they're running 2 up top with Reyna, and just say, yeah, or Reyna at half. I thought for sure we'd see something at half.
Get into the game
at the beginning of the game.
And into the tournament, that's the other part. It's like, give the guy a chance to get his feet wet in the World Cup. He gets 10 minutes. It's not enough to really get going. At least give him 15, 20 minutes so at least he can get in of like, I'm in there. I'm finally playing and I got some touches. He barely touched the ball at the end because it turned into one of those stalemates where both teams are like, nobody wants to lose the game kind of thing in the end.
Yeah, for sure.
And we saw that in the last play of the game. We started to play in the passing the ball when we should have crossed it in and all that.
He's going to be a key part.
But yes, I agree with you.
He's going to be a key part of 2026.
Yeah.
Give him some minutes. What is going on?
Is he?
Yeah, he will. He will.
By 2026, he will.
If Greg's at the helm,
Will he be?
he may. I don't get it. Like, sub him in for Haji and just have him run up top. What's the worst thing that's going to happen?
But here's the thing. You mentioned this very early on. The whole thing about why is Haji in there? And you said chemistry. And I think there's a chemistry with some of these players. Reyna has a little bit of an attitude. I feel like I feel like he has a little bit of attitude. So I feel like he might not getting along.
You mean swagger?
No, not swagger. Yeah, I think he can rub. I think he can rub a lot of people the wrong way. And I wonder if he actually have even rubbed Berhalter a little bit. He has attitude. He might not gel with the crowd, the rest of the team as well. That's what I wonder. There's no denying his talent, but is he really gelling with the group? That's the only thought that I had, that he's keeping him out because it's not because of his talent. If it was about his talent, he would be starting.
Yeah, but I mean, all right, riddle me this. Picture this in that, that ball sack of yours up in your brain. Brendan Aronson comes on and Gio Reyna comes on. So our front four for the end of the last 20 minutes of that game is Tim Weah, Christian Pulisic, Aronson, and Gio Reyna. Like that, can you? That's so. When I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the sideline and I'm going, "Oh no, Rashford's coming in and Grealish is coming in, and they also have Foden." I'm scared. They look at our sideline and they go, "Oh man, they got Reina coming in and Aronson coming in, and they're gonna run Pulisic, Weah, Aronson, and Reina for the last 20 minutes." I would be like, "Oh, that we're gonna get smoked."
You think they care? They're England. They don't
That's
care.
the beauty. They don't care. They were giving Pulisic. They don't care. They don't rate us at all, which is why Pulisic was able to have such a good game because he could get it. He could turn. He wasn't getting kicked because they don't rate him.
I totally agree that I think Reina should definitely come in a lot sooner. I think when Grealish and Henderson came in the 68th, that was it right then. That was when Reina should have been pulled up. Put him in, make a triple change with Aronson, Shackmore, and Reina. You've got 5 subs. Use them.
What, he used one at the time, right? He made one sub. It was just Shaq Moore that came on initially.
Yeah,
but
Brendan,
he brought him
Shackmore.
Yeah, Brendan 77, Shaq in 78. So that was probably supposed to come in at the same time, but one didn't get up to the line, or they're given extra instruction or something. But
oh man, and we didn't even know Reina was coming in because they didn't announce it, or we must have missed it. But all we saw was Timo's number get called, and I was like, "Please be Jordan Morris." I have a feeling that Mort will jump through my window and like die. Like I was like, "Please!" I was like, "Bring on Jaden."
It's funny that you're saying that because the comment I was about to say was, I don't really have any complaints about the subs because there was no number 16 lining up there. So,
yeah. I mean, again, I do think it's crazy that he hasn't played Ferreira. I think it's kind of nuts because I even think he's pretty good.
I think you might see him in the next game. Actually,
he was not impressive in the MLS playoffs.
But you bring him in a must.
Well, this is where I was headed. We went back down the path we were on before. Not hating, but you've made your case in greater depth, and I agree with it. We should have gone for the win. We did not benefit ourselves to continue to play for the tie. How do we set up against Iran?
How do you think we should set up? Like we think we should set up, or how do you think
Berhalter's going to roll out the same
up?
lineup? I don't think a single change is going
to
be
in a
made.
must win. I mean,
I'm asking you what you think we should do.
I think we set up like we did in the first half of Wales. I bet you that's what he does, and I don't hate it. Have Sargent up top and run the MMA midfield. We are better than Iran, like person to person. I think Azmoun, the guy, they're one of their best players, might be out hurt. I know he went down and came out in the 68th minute. Their right winger is out on yellow card accumulation, which we should note that there were no yellow cards in this game, so it shouldn't affect us. That being said, there should have been 2 or 3 yellow cards for England. It was insane, but whatever. I would put Sargent up top, and if he puts Ferreira, whatever. But I think we go high press when we go at him. My worry is that they're also. Did you guys watch the Wales?
I wanted to ask you guys about this. I only saw the score line, and it wasn't until later that I even saw that how they got there. The red card in the 86 something, and then both of their goals in stoppage time, Iran's goals in stoppage time. Was this just a result of playing against 10 men, or
feels like it?
So I watched the end, and I don't necessarily think it was that. I mean, I think Iran was on the front foot at that point. I mean, it was kind of, what's crazy is, they say Iran plays, low block, and so does Wales, but that game was literally end to end. And I anticipate Iran coming out and pressing us. I think that's going to happen. And that's what's scary is like, well, okay, then we should be able to counter.
Right.
But, in these type of games, we don't do very well. Like all the Asian teams we played, Saudi Arabia and Japan, they came out and they played, high and got at us, and we didn't have an answer. And that's what you were saying, full circle at the beginning is we only had one shot on goal. We had one shot on goal last game. And if we're not going to create and we can't create, we need to be able to play quickly in transition. Weah has been wonderful at that. But we need a number 10. We need someone to unlock the defense, and the MMA midfield doesn't do that. So, I would like to see Aronson start and just go at him. I would love to see, Sargent or Ferreira up top, run like crazy, create space for Pulisic and Weah, to do what they do. Have Pulisic cut in, have Robinson get forward, have Dest get forward, and, go at them like we went at Wales, except maybe have somebody finish a goal. That would be wonderful.
Yeah, and I guess in that game too, possession-wise, Wales were dominating possession. I mean, they but they didn't create a whole lot. And it seems Iran's thing is they're going to shoot from anywhere. Anytime they see or can smell goal, they're going to try to finish it. So they had a ton of shots, a lot of them from distance, and they like to shoot from a distance too.
21 shots.
Yeah, and I think they had 10 of them from outside the box. So they'd like to just finish from distance and get some shots in. I think with the
holy cow,
with the setup we have with Adams hanging down there, they're not going to be able to get that amount of shots off in that area. So that can be a kind of good thing. I don't think they had a shot. One of the goals came from out there too. But
that's what we struggle with.
Yeah,
when we dominate possession, we don't do well. That's why we need someone who's able to, be able to break that down. Looking at their starting lineup, no one was rated below a 7.
Well, and in my head, it's I just feel
4 of their players
in
were
my
above
head,
an
it's
8.
I think Iran is going to come out and just try to upset the U.S. But in the end, they're playing for the top of the group. It is not like they're coming out to try to tie, a tie, does a tie put them at the top of the group?
Puts them at number 2.
Not if England wins.
A tie gets them. Yeah. So, there's a good chance they just low block and they just try to hold on for dear life.
They're through if they tie.
England came out and just
through if
smashed
they
them.
tie. But they'll not be in the first position if they tie.
No.
And even if they win,
they
would
don't
have
care.
to win by 6 goals or something.
So there's a situation here. If I think I heard today that they said if Iran wins 1-0 and Wales win 1-0, England and Wales still goes through. So they have to score some goals to make up for goal difference.
You're right.
So
I didn't see Trey, you saw Iran play today. You watched a decent amount of the game.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't look bad, right? They did not look like they looked against England.
No, they actually looked really good, considering.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about.
But it's a completely different game. It was a very active back and forth game. So it'll be interesting.
What are they
really
thinking?
Interesting.
Because they were just smoked by England and we dominated. I would go out and say we dominated player-wise that English team today. I don't think I'm reaching too far saying that we were the most dominant team on the field.
I think what you saw today with Iran was them coming out and saying we're not as bad as 6-2.
Yeah, and I think Ben brought it up last round too, was that the score was much better than actually the game itself. If you looked at some expected goals and some of those stats, and some of the goals were just giveaway.
The first game
so
with
weak.
England.
Yeah, in the first game, such weak individual performances were just gave people an open goal.
Yeah, they had 7 shots on target and 6 went in.
Yeah, they're a hard playing team. I don't think they're as good as Wales. I think today's 2-0 win was a little bit of, I don't know, I want to call it luck, but
flukish.
It was flukish. Getting a red card in the keeper, and then giving up 2 in stoppage wasn't indicative of the actual quality of the game. But that being said, Iran put pressure on and were a dangerous team the entire game.
21 shots from Iran to 10 from Wales. Granted, only 6 of them were on target to Wales 3.
Yeah.
Possession, 62% to Wales, 38% Iran. It's just kind of crazy stats.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have possession, but they transition fast and they shoot from 40
Has the
yards
U.S.
out. I mean,
ever
you're looking
taken
at
21
1, 2,
shots in
3,
a game? I'm willing to say no.
Not under
13 of those shots were
The
outside
hockey
the 18.
team has.
Yeah, I mean, and the Iranian goal, the first one, that's the only one I saw was the first one, the one outside the box. That was a good shot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing is we struggle when they're like, yeah, you have the ball. US, like, come at us. We don't do well. Like, we do well in the game.
I'm wondering, I guess I shouldn't even say wondering. I'm more nervous because watching this Iran team reminded me a lot of Saudi Arabia and Japan.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Where it's like a little bit more physical, a little bit more press. They're going to run at us. And you've seen what Japan and Saudi Arabia have done in this tournament.
Yeah. Good point.
So
I saw more.
They're playing like there's no tomorrow
Top of their
because
right.
in the worst case scenario, there might not be one.
Saudi Arabia beat Argentina, and Japan
Literally.
beat Germany.
And with our inability to score,
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That is the
know,
constant
but
worry
again-
for us is that inability to score. But you feel like at some point it just
It's gonna
It's
go.
gonna go.
Yeah, we could easily come out and just do what England did and just be like, we're gonna leak in 5 goals in the first half. It's like
I don't have
we
that much
the ability
faith.
to,
I really
but-
don't.
No, I have no faith. I have 0 faith. We have two.
Go
we have 2
USA.
shots
I have
in
no
2
faith.
games.
I have no faith in our ability to score 3 to 4 goals in a game. I don't.
We won't even get those on target.
No,
Yeah,
I want
there's
to see
like-
something
it's
different.
not
Put
a thing.
Reyna in. Put Sargent in. Like together.
That's what I'm saying. Like I say, go at
Hey,
it,
but
man.
I mean,
Like I want
Like-
to see something so different.
I was
Play 2 goalies and 9.
I was happy with the
forwards.
number of corners. We got a good amount of corners. They were good corners. They were beating the first defender, which we weren't doing in the first game. I mean, that's where we got to capitalize. We got to capitalize on a free kick, a corner, because we're not doing. It doesn't feel like we're doing it otherwise.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, well, I heard some stat. I think it was in the first game that said that the most tickets were sold to Qatar fans, and the second most tickets were sold to USA fans. And between all of us, there have been 2 goals. We have the same number of goals as Qatar. I think they're officially eliminated with 2 losses.
They should have had a PK.
God, go.
In addition,
And when this group was drawn,
Yeah,
Iran
that's
was the game we could not wait to play, right? So as much as I am freaking out
So nervous.
about being afraid of this game, this is the game. This is the one that we always expected to be the easy one. So let's hope for it. Anything else to add before we sign off tonight, guys?
I would say that looking at games we have scored goals, one of the most recent games we scored like 3 goals was against Morocco, which is not the same region, but there's maybe some similarities. They're ranked 22 in the world. They're doing a pretty decent job so far in the World Cup, and we won 3-0. And it was Aronson, Weah, and Wright that scored the goals.
was it their C team?
So
A PK.
I don't want to know what team it was. It was Hakimi was playing. I know that.
Yeah, no, they had a good team. Yeah, and I'll piggyback off that to close up the pod. But if we can't beat Iran, this is perfect. If we can't beat Iran, we don't deserve to
For
go
sure.
to the 16. They're not a top 16 team. We don't deserve to be in it, and that's the end of the story. Like, cool.
Yep.
Like,
I
this
agree.
is again, this is like Greg's final thing. It's like, hey man, you know what you suck at? You suck at scoring goals. So like, you got to get a result, and it's not. The first 2 games are whatever. But
Well,
yeah, if you don't beat Iran, you don't get to go.
Yeah,
on.
we all said, we saw the group. We said we can beat Iran, we can beat Wales, and if we lose to England, we should still be going through. And that same mentality right now. If we beat Iran, we're through. That's it.
I love the.
I know we're signing
Winning, go
off.
through.
I know we're kind of out of time. I have a mantra, and I'll share it with you guys another time. But let's see what happens in Iran, and we'll catch up again on Tuesday after the game. Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
Yep.
USA.
Go USA.
USA.
America, the flag of America's red, white, and blue is America. USA scores some goals. America, red, white, and blue.
Land of the free.
Thanks everyone for joining the club. We hope you'll listen next week and every week, even in the off season, to celebrate or commiserate. We'll save you a seat. If you like this podcast, please give us 5 stars and subscribe. You can email us at upper90clubpod@gmail.com. That's upper90clubpod@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at upper90clubpod. Go Crew! You know, if you talk like clever Yoda, that would be one thing. But this guy, he talks like outtake Yoda, you know? It's like, you know, like the times when Yoda speaks and like, you know, you can see that the other Jedi are like rolling their eyes. You know?